Adam Trimmer is an advocate for the LGBTQ+ community and a conversion therapy survivor who devotes significant time volunteering with LGBTQ+ youth, while also speaking out against conversion therapy specifically. His story was at the center of statewide conversion therapy conversations throughout Virginia. Woohoo! Shout out, I'm from Virginia. Love it, Adam. He's put a face and a name to conversion therapy in the South. His mother, Paulette Trimmer, has been standing at his side for the past 2 years, and Paulette herself is an advocate leading conversations with others to help them understand how conversion therapy has impacted her role as a mother. Paulette stands as a shining example of the fact that you can hold tightly to your faith while providing unconditional love and acceptance to an LGBTQ+ child. Thank you so much for being with us, and I'll turn it over to Adam and Paulette.
Hello. Hey, y'all. We may have some computer issues, but this rural internet is going to do her best, okay? So, hello. My name is Adam Trimmer. I use he, him pronouns. And I am a conversion therapy survivor, and I'm going to talk to everyone a little bit about that, as well as what that has done to our family. So I want to start by talking about just what I call the trajectory of disaster, right? It started in China. I was on a mission trip. I was a missionary, and, you know, this pastor came to me with the idea that I could look at my same-sex attraction as a backpack, and that all I had to do was take it off and give it to God, and I just wouldn't be gay anymore, you know? And it's those types of little metaphors and analogies that really were taught to me and people like me, conversion therapy survivors, that really got inside our head, especially as a minor or a young adult, because we were ready to learn. We were ready to try our best, you know? And so it started with that, and then after a suicide attempt, that pastor told my parents that he was going to take care of me, that same guy. And when I came back from the hospital, his first words to me were, "You tried being gay, and look what happened." So in comes the shame, right? I was already ashamed of who I was, and then I have the experience of attaching that shame to say, look how far I went down that road. Big air quotes, right? So this pastor got me, right? I was got, and introduced me to a licensed counselor who apparently was going to help me heal, right? None of that happened, spoiler alert, during those sessions. And I then became connected to these ex-gay conferences with groups like Love One Out and Exodus International. And when I was at those places, that shame got transformed into blame. And that was a very, very dangerous transition. Because when that happened, all of that negative energy that I had to myself that brought me to the point of just hating myself to the point of a suicide attempt, that energy was now transformed into, this is my parents' fault. And that was a very dangerous transition, because I was taking all of the negative energy that I had, and I was now projecting it onto my mom and dad. And it was further enhanced when they were talking about things like the broken family, or the overbearing mother and the emotionally absent father. And so I was attaching that as the cause of me being gay, and the cause of me going through my life as an evangelical teenager and saying, this is not my fault anymore, you know? And it was a very dangerous projection that started to happen. So then I began connecting to this ex-gay ministry in Richmond. And this group would not allow for us to exchange last names, to exchange phone numbers. We didn't know who each other were outside of the faces of the group therapy. And it was such a toxic environment because with every session, we were coming with that shame and we were getting the false comfort that we were not alone, right? We were getting that false comfort that this is also happening to other people. So this shame transforming into blame, this awful person that I was becoming where it was my parents' fault, it was being validated by not only these teachers, but also by the fact that there were also other people around me that were going through the same thing. And so through the pastor, through the counselor, through ex-gay ministries, through these conferences, through group therapy, through one-on-one therapy that wasn't even with a licensed therapist at one point, just because they just get really creative. And I was at the all-you-can-eat buffet of conversion therapy, trying to get everything I could. I experienced so much damage. And that damage was not only to me and my gay identity and my identity as a person, but also to my relationships, right? So I want to talk about my male-to-male friendship relationships at the time, because there was a guy by the name of Mike Ensley who wrote this little booklet called Emotional Dependency for Guys. And it taught me that I was supposed to micromanage every single interaction with another man. That if I felt another guy getting close to me, that I was to back away. That if I was, a touchy-feely person, that I needed to be careful about that with another guy, right? And that I needed to take the emotional dependency that I was taught resulted from an absent father, which was not the case, and divert that into attention to God. And so what became my original shame turned into so much blame for other people, right? And that is the most damaging thing, because now it was not just me as the person going through something. This was now my family. This was my friends. When I would get a call from a male friend, I actually had this crazy notion that was like, oh my God, I just talked to him 3 days ago. Is it emotionally dependent for me to reach back out to this guy? Should I wait a few more days? And I kept tallies of how many times I was talking to my male friends because of this myth about emotional dependency, because this myth about emotional dependency stemmed from the fact that I was told I was broken. And because I was broken, I was told I was going to have broken relationships. But not only were my friendships broken, but my relationship with my family was broken. I was not the nicest to my mom. I was not the nicest to my dad. I told my dad at one point he was the worst father in the world. I would not hug my mom. And my therapist was validating that this was supposed to happen, that I was supposed to build that wall between me and my mom, and that I was supposed to try to reconcile things with my father by having those difficult conversations. And so all of that wreckage happened and then stopped. I got out and it was just over. There was nothing like CT survivors at that time. There was nowhere for me to find solace. So I felt so alone, and it took 8 years before I even started to talk about these experiences. When I went to my first therapy session, it took so long for me to acknowledge that all of this that happened 8 years ago was still pressing on my identity. And it's because of those therapy sessions, it's because I took that initiative to try to heal, and actually find freedom. These myths that were taught to me in conversion therapy, because I actually was starting to find those things, my relationships started to heal. My family started to come back together. The damage that happened in conversion therapy was starting to become undone. And those are some of the most cherishing memories that I have of not only getting myself back, but getting my relationship with my mom, getting my relationship with my dad, getting my relationship with other friends that I didn't know how to talk to at the time, getting those relationships back. And I'm still trying to heal. There is still more that I'm working through, But those relationship damages specifically within my family are starting to get better. And so I'm going to turn this over to my mom, who's absolutely fabulous. And I'm going to let her tell kind of her side of this story.
Hello, I'm Paulette Trimmer, Adam's mom. And this is heartbreaking hearing all this, but he's okay now. That's the important thing. And, well, let me go back to when, like he said, when he tried to commit suicide, and I thank God he did not succeed. He's still here. And the youth pastor, which we had the utmost faith in, said, I have something that can help Adam. And we're like, okay. We had no clue what it was. And so he's sitting at the computer one day after he had come home. He said, Mom, come look at this. I want to go to this. I said, what is it? He said, it's Exodus International. I said, what is it? And their slogan was leaving homosexuality through Jesus Christ. I'm going to tell you right now, there was nothing about Jesus Christ in that place. That is so misleading. And I said, okay, if you really want to go, and it was not cheap. So I said, okay, if you really want to go, we'll have the money for you. So before he left, he loved me. He loved his dad. And when he had 2 conferences, Exodus International and Love One Out. Well, when he came back from the first one, he could, I would be in a room and he would come into the room and see me there. He would turn around and walk away into a different room. If he was in a room and I would come, say watching TV, if he was in a room and I would walk in the room, he would get up and go to another room just to get away from me. And we had always been close before that. And so then I would try to hug him. He would just pull away and not let me hug him after he had come back from conversion therapy. And I would tell him, I love you, Adam. He would just turn to me and look at me with utter disgust, like I was pure scum. And that just absolutely broke my heart. And I'm like, where is this coming from? I didn't know what they were doing in this place. I had no clue because he didn't talk about it. He just, his actions, but I'm like, where is my son? So then he wanted to go to another one. And I'm like, Adam, are you sure? Yes, Mom. And you really need to pay for this. I really want to go. And I'm like, okay. He's insistent about this. Okay. So we helped him raise the money on that one. So he went to that one. So same thing. So then, how it changed, how things, after all that was over, to kind of speed ahead a little bit, he said, Mom, there's a movie called Love, Simon. You want to watch it with me? And I said, what is it about? And he was telling me, and I said, sure, we'll watch it together. So we watched it together, and it was after that movie where we sat down and he actually started telling me what went on at Exodus International and Love One Out. And I said, I am so sorry we raised the money for you. And I did not send him. My husband, Adam's dad, did not send him. Adam begged us. If we would have known what it was, we would have said, no, you are not getting the money. I don't care how much you get mad at me. I'm not letting you go. And that's what parents need to understand. This stuff is so deceiving to families. If they only knew when they send their child to a conversion therapy, which it's not called conversion therapy, it's called other stuff. So you don't know what it is. They only knew what was going to happen when their child came out of that, what it was going to cause with the whole family. And it's not even just about me, how much it hurt me and how much it hurt his dad. It started with how it hurt Adam and what they put him through. They taught him, I don't know what the word is, but told all these youths that were in there, your mom is an overbearing mom and your dad is emotionally absent, and that's why you're gay. That's a bunch of BS. And I was never an overbearing mom. His dad was always there for him. So this is what they're teaching them. And these people just don't realize what it is. And I have talked in front of boards, and every time at the end, I would say, I only wish other parents were standing here beside me, because I guarantee for every conversion therapy survivor, there are parents also that are hurting. Okay. What is this? Oh, okay. So something else I forgot I wanted to say about. So after Adam went to conversion therapy, then the youth pastor again said, how about you go to a counselor? So it was a Christian counselor. So he went, and our relationship was not good. This was before Love Simon, okay? So the counselor asked, can get your mom in here so we can talk to her as well. And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like it would be good. Maybe they're trying to restore our relationship.
She was excited.
I was excited that the therapist was wanting us to talk. Well, I got in there and I started talking about Adam and how I was worried about him every time he left the house, that something, he was going to try to commit suicide again. She said, this is not about you. This is about Adam and what you caused. You are the reason. And I'm like, I was sitting there in tears, and Adam looks over at me like, yeah, Mom. Yep. I mean, just looked at me with disgust, totally agreeing with the therapist. And that's all conversion therapy. That's what happened to families. And I'm a very strong Christian woman. I will always be a strong Christian woman. Parents don't understand. You can have your faith and still love your child. You can still love your gay or lesbian child. They're still your child. You love them unconditionally, no matter what. You love them unconditionally. I cannot stress that enough. And if there were more parents that would love their parents unconditionally, instead of when their child comes out to them, they kick them out of the house. How does that make the child feel? Unloved? Why? Yeah, why would I want to live? My mom and dad hate me. So if they would just love them unconditionally, there would be so many less attempted suicides.
Yeah. My relationship with my mom, it really did start to become strengthened by me going to therapy and me finding the language to initiate some of those conversations again. And just the advocate that she has become has just been incredible. I never thought like my mom and I would be speaking so openly about, me being gay and me going through conversion therapy. Yay. Yeah. And a large part of that is because I started going to therapy. Nobody should ever have to go through therapy because of therapy. And I think that's, like you think of the design of therapy, it's to guide you through life, and nobody should ever have to go through therapy because of going through therapy. And, in addition to Love Simon, my mom and I, because it was just really coincidental how I had just come off of therapy and ironically said to some of my best friends, I think I'm good. I don't think I have to talk about conversion therapy anymore. And then it's in the media, it's everywhere, legislation in Virginia and movies. And so we're at Boy Erased, and I'll let my mom tell this story.
So he said, do you want to go to this movie called Boy Erased? And I said, well, what is it about? And he started telling me. I said, yeah. And so we went, and I don't know if y'all have seen it or not, but there is a part in the movie where Garrett is in there and he's trying to get out and they won't let him out. And the mother is saying, let him out right now or I'm going to call the police. and he wouldn't let him out. And she said, I am not kidding. If you don't open this door right now, I am calling the police. So he opened the door, and Garrett was walking with his mom, and she turned around to the guy that was heading it and said, okay, so what are your credentials? What makes you such a perfectionist? I don't know what the word is, but what makes you feel like you can be heading this? And he didn't say a word. And she said, that's what I thought. I'm taking my son home. The whole theater was quiet. I yelled, way to go, Mom. And I was just so proud of her, so proud of her. And it's a true story. And I was just so proud of her. And Adam and I'm so thankful for Love Simon, because that was the moment that him and I were able to start talking about what he went through. And both of us were crying. I was crying, asking him, please forgive me for giving you the money. He said, you didn't know, Mom, you didn't know. And to this day, I hate that I paid for it, but it's over. You know, we're good now, and we're moving forward, and our relationship is so much better. And I'm so thankful that I was able to stand there with him, going to the boards, being on the media, being on TV, to fight against conversion therapy. We hope that all 50 states will ban conversion therapy.
It's been so powerful standing with her, and you know, like, some things that I just never thought would happen growing up have happened. Like, you know, my mom would come home, and she, one Valentine's Day, she like gave me this box of chocolates that had the pride flag on it and was like, hey, I got this for you. And, you know, it's like a small gesture, but I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I still am kind of mind blown all the time. And then there was this hand soap that she got at Bath and Body Works that, you know, had the pride flag around it. And she was like, yeah, I wanted you to have this. And, you know, it's those small little gestures that just like really make a big difference, you know. And there were several survivors and also like some amazing drag queens that also just gave her some words of encouragement on Mother's Day. She mentioned we did media, and it's been really interesting to see how the public has perceived her. You know, she is an ally, and that's what's important to remember is, you know, we are talking about coming from, you know, our past, and that includes my past, and that also includes her past. And I think, you know, I see my mom as an advocate, and I see my mom as an ally, and just overall a really great mom.
Thank you. You're a great son.
Aww.
Okay.
That's our presentation.
Love it. Adam and Paulette, thank you